everyone. Well, it's time for another interesting and enriching session in store for all of you. In fact, the big question that's in front of us is, what does world-class IT mean for your enterprise? It's time to get the answers to this question from all of our amazing set of speakers joining us in. First up, in fact, the entire session is being spearheaded by Mr. Rajiv Arora, Global Head IT Global Hub, Global Program Lead New Normal Mobile Work Program with Siemens AG. In fact, he's a global business transformation leader with more than 30 years of experience with expertise in leading digitalization initiatives with large multinationals, both in manufacturing and financial services sector. So Mr. Arora will be spearheading and moderating this discussion for us, featuring speakers such as Mr. Ajit Kolhe, Head IT, CIO, VIP Industries Limited, who's a strategist, technology leader, solution architect, and business excellence professional with more than 21 years of experience. We also have with us Mr. Pankaj Gupta, CIO, Schaeffler India. In fact, he's someone who comes with a rich experience of more than 2 decades, and he is currently the CIO for Schaeffler India. We also have with us Mr. Debanjan Banerjee, CIO, Pernod, Ricard, India. In fact, with more than 20 years of experience, he is someone who's been providing visible and credible leadership to global IT programmer in enabling businesses to successfully undertake large-scale transformation and value realization programs. We also have amidst us Mr. Subrata Banerjee, Sector CIO, Vedanta Limited, Aluminium, Power and Ports, Vedanta Resources PLC, and he comes with an extensive industry experience of more than 2 decades. And with that, it also leaves us with our final speaker, Mr. Milind Khamkar, Group CIO, Supermax World Private Limited, a business visionary with deep insight and vast experience. He's widely recognized as a dedicated leader, articulate communicator, and a skilled problem solver. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, and all of our attendees, I do hope all of you are all hooked and all set for this very interesting discussion coming your way in just a couple of seconds. So please stay with us. We'll get our panelists on board in just a couple of seconds.
Hope you all have been enjoying a very healthy discussions in this event since morning. Also, I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy in these times, and I hope you all would have got vaccinated by now or would be planning to go for a vaccination. So just before I start the topic, I just want to take you back what actually happened over the last 2 years for all the CIOs or the digital officers, that we turned our attention toward digitalization more into an operations so that we can become more of a transformative enterprise as an whole. And a recent study, which I was just going through, just showed that a digital world-class technology organization are operating at 19% lower cost per end user compared to their peers, who are representing a cost savings, but are spending more money. And this is remarkable for a large digital world-class organization like we all are working for, where we spend about 2 to 3% on our budget on technology. And what we found that the world organizations spend less money than the traditional who spend more money in managing the operations. And this is predominantly coming from attaining a world-class performance in the functions and enabling the entire enterprise. And I can just share my experience coming from a world-class organization like Siemens, that savings in labor or resource augmentations, outsourcings, and overhead attained by us is being offset by the higher technology cost or a platform-based cost, what we're adopting it out. So what does world-class technology function are? They are the one that simultaneously achieve superior efficiencies and effectiveness performance for running their organization, especially in these new normal time, what we are going through predominantly. And typically, the practice associated with world-class performance are around processes, the people, the data standardization, because that's where you can really use it out, process automation, platform consolidation, an adoption of a standard global business process, end-to-end process designs, and ownership of the business process ownership. So these are the few things what we as Siemens have been also leveraging it out. And we really could find that in these times when we all are going through a pandemic, we have increased the productivity of our IT and OT put together by almost 10 to 12% compared to what we were in 019. Now, keeping this in mind and what Kavya said, what is a world-class IT? What does it mean to you? So let me start inviting one by one all my colleagues. So let me first go to Ajit. Ajit, what does world-class IT mean to you in your organization, in VIP industries? Over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Rajiv and the eminent panelist, and Kavya for introducing me, a brief introduction about me. World-class IT it's a very fancy name or the very glorious name, and every organization definitely try to achieve that goal. So world-class IT for me, or based on my past experience, it varies from organization to organization. World-class definitely can form a benchmark for any organization. Finally, I will call it as journey. Okay. When you call it as a journey, world-class, basically in each and every function in the manufacturing, because I represent a manufacturing organization and my past experience also lies in the manufacturing organization. World-class is definitely a benchmark. Okay. So benchmark in terms of the applications, what the organization has, infrastructure, what organization has, people, skill level, and overall from the business perspective. It definitely varies from organization to organization. When I talk about my organization at present, so when we say it's a journey, so it has some start. Okay, so start is definitely required, and then you have a roadmap to attain that journey, which is a world class. So when we talk about the start, so the start is basically understanding the organization maturity is utmost important for any organization I see as a part, because I spent a couple of years in IT consulting also with the global organizations, and I see West abroad as well as in India, the scenarios are entirely different and the situations are entirely different. The challenges are entirely different. So from the world-class perspective, for my definition of the world-class will be definitely addressing the business challenges, taking organization to the new level, new heads, and then keeping organization competitive with respect to the technology, with respect to the process, and definitely the skill level within the organization. That organization is definitely, so my organization at the end of the day is definitely from the technology landscape perspective or for the IT enablement perspective, it should be 10 years ahead of the time. Now, this is the goal, what we are talking about. So obviously world-class is a possibility what we're talking about, but there's a reality always attached to that. So the gap between reality and the possibility, that is the journey every organization needs to travel. So keeping this introduction as a brief initial note for the brief as such, so that I can just put my thoughts in a detailed way. When we talk about world-class, the world-class has to be seen from the every function in the organization, from the manufacturing domain, right from your sales, right from the procurement for the production, your purchase, then finance and HR. Basically, in each and every function, we need to define what is a world-class from the process perspective and then from the technology perspective. And definitely there's a roadmap and enablement is required to meet that target. So I am keeping this discussion or my initial note very brief, and then I will elaborate what I mean and then how it can be achieved. Yeah, Ajit.
Thanks, Ajit. Thanks for sharing that, how you really look at the business challenges, be more competitive ahead in schedule by 10 years around both process and technology. But Pankaj, let me come back to you. Now, since you're also in the manufacturing sector and you heard that what Ajit said, but I would like to understand from you, what is that you believe, specific 3 things, what your company has defined a world-class IT to be?
So first of all, thank you very much and good afternoon to all the participants, to all the panelists here. And I would start, or I would rather answer this question in a way, I think most of us, we have already said and we agree that world-class IT for any enterprise or any organization, it is a journey, it is a benchmark. And it is a benchmark which transforms the organization to increase the efficiencies in operations, to increase the quality of the product or services they offer, or to increase or to fulfill the growth vision of the organization. And ultimately, I would sum it up as it enhances flexibility to adapt to any kind of adversity in this fast changing environment, and to make the organization future ready also. So these are some of the interpretation which I do from my organization perspective to world class IT. What does it mean to any enterprise or organization? There are various aspects. I think we already heard this, that IT infrastructure is one of the important aspect which makes my organization, or which is one of the important aspect of world-class IT. When I say IT infrastructure, it relates not only to the IT hardware, but even to the IT software, application, tools, various innovations, what we bring in into our operations and our business. One important aspect when I say IT infrastructure, we have to ensure as a IT function or as a IT department, one of the basic KPIs what we have to ensure is we have to maximize the availability or system availability for my business, for my end users to operate upon. And we all have experienced in the last couple of months or last 1.5 years what pandemic has brought us. So we're not knowing that we would there would be a days coming when we all would work from home, and there would be so much enhancement in our VPN tunnel, in our gateway, in all our IT infrastructure. So this is another important aspect to make us future ready for to adapt to any kind of adversity. Another thing what I see which makes my function or IT as world class is the talent, is the resources, skill, competence, what we have. We have to understand what skills we have, what skills are required for my organization to or for IT to become a business enabler rather than just be a service provider or a cost center. So we have to align, we have to have our vision, we have to have a vision, IT vision, in terms of not only what my organization is requiring today, achieving their goal, but even we have to focus on what is the future trend. And that is another important aspect which I see transforms IT into a world-class IT for any enterprise. The other thing which I would say is the buy-in from all the management. There are many challenges, definitely, when we want to transform. It's a journey. We already heard our panel member saying that it is a journey and transformation. So we have to have a buy-in from our management, and management also have to have faith on us, and we work towards achieving those journey. So this is some of the thought process what I have for my industry, for Schaeffler India, what makes or what transform IT into a world-class IT for any enterprise. Thank you.
Thanks, Pankaj. Thanks, Pankaj, for really putting forward that for you also it's a journey. Keeping in mind that we need to be flexible and future ready, keeping in mind what is going to come up in 5 to 10 years time frame, and you really focus on the, I would say, the basic foundation, infrastructure, tools, and software, and be more innovation which can be made available around it. And second is the resources, because the key thing to any success of world-class IT is people. Right people with right talent is more important. And third, you really focus on what is the buying challenges we have with the environment to get us moving for the 2 to 3% what we really spend on technology. Thanks, Pankaj, for really bringing it out. So let me come back to Debanjan. Debanjan, keeping in mind now what our two other panelists have shared, Ajit and Pankaj has shared, what are the technology advances or the technology around the infrastructure, tools we need to be prepared as the CIOs or CDOs for our company so that we are ready for, I would not recommend we should have in the pandemic, but ready for the future, any such kind of a contingency where we need to drive it out. What do you think about that now?
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv, for the question. Pleasure to be here with all the panelists. Maybe before I respond to that particular question on technology, I mean, here's my 2 cents about being world-class IT organization. And world-class IT organization, to me, can be measured in the lens of a customer, which means our business. If the business is not world-class, then IT cannot be world-class organization. And a business can be world-class, and it has a world-class business has several characteristics, a few dominant ones among them being that it has the ability to sense and respond to any external circumstances. The other part is about maintaining profitable growth, very good business results. The third part of that such dimension is the satisfied customers and satisfied employees. If I have to take it back within IT and talk of the technology supporting and delivering to these three towers, the ability to sense and respond, Rajiv, it relates back to the early first point that we're mentioning, which is about having the ability or platforms which connects our processes end to end. Today, historically, organizations have built systems over point in time, point solutions over point in time, which don't speak to each other. The holistic picture of a process is missing. It could be today, in today's world, we have a lot of platforms which are cloud friendly, cloud sensitive, available on the SaaS model. You don't need big investment, upfront investment to even pilot them out. At our organization, we are doing one of the largest transformation on end-to-end supply chain using a platform called Anaplan. And that drives a lot of agility, because agility and responsiveness are two key traits of being a world-class organization. And that also helps in continuity. If you coming back to the questions of continuity, we as CIOs figured out that when the whole world got stuck with COVID and overnight we had to transform and start working from home, all the collaboration platforms came to rescue of running the business as usual. And while those infrastructure has been there for all the decades, all the BCPs, DRs that we have been practicing year on year, this was a real proof of the test. And we could all put it to practice overnight. And I don't think we had a single day of disruption in our business environment. We had rolled out Teams, platforms, and all the collaboration associated with Office 365. It helped business continue seamlessly when they've started operating from their homes instead of being in the field or factories or at corporate offices or regional offices. Coming third point, one of the key differentiator of a world-class IT organization is the ability to take decisions. And that means I need to have data, right data at right point in time, which really converts to insights for having those data. So ability to get those data insights comes from an integrated view of data from various sources, analyzing which gets transformed on common language. And I heard Pankaj also mentioning about common language, Ajit also talking of it, that common language, and on which we put in the modern data science platforms to drive better decisions, better recommendations for our business. And these 3-4 points are some of the key value adds which can truly make a big difference in our businesses. I think I'll pause with there because there are endless productivity and efficiency tools in the market. We all have intelligent automation towers. We are pursuing RPA factories. We have intelligent chatbots. We have, those dimensions are, I think, being covered by almost all organizations, and they drive efficiency, which ultimately leads to more engaged people, more engaged customers when you're able to fulfill and service your customers seamlessly. But having said that, without these key aspects of end-to-end processes and the data, the business slowly crumbles. But the most important piece which we overlook and we don't dive enough importance to is the people. Even people in our organization, IT organization. IT is undergoing a lot of attrition in India. We have see people moving here and there with skill sets which are not honed enough. Now, having the right talent, retain them, grow them, and develop them, and have them deliver and grow with the organization is one of the key differentiator of any successful world-class organization. Thanks, Rajiv.
Well, Debanjan, you really brought up a very good topic of end-to-end platform, because we have been building our own IT as a function in bits and pieces, and we really have made a big castle, but end-to-end makes a difference. Second, of ability of using the data point which can help decision making. And third is people. Really appreciate that. They are really good points, what we all drive. But more than that, I want to give a pat on each one of us as a head of the ITs or the CIOs or CDOs, because overnight we could make our business continue working when the actual pandemic happened. The shutter was not planned out in the offices, and we all actually tested our own, I would say, the BCP or business continuity planning in the live scenario. And thanks to each one of you, because I know 99% of the organization are running very seamless about it. Okay, so let me come back to Subrata. I know Subrata, Vedanta has been driving very effective things in the industry. And you have been, I know, adopting new technologies. So what do you think of world-class IT is for you as a Vedanta? And how do you see that these solutions, what we're talking about, the RPA factory, the bots, or the collaboration platform, are actually working for us?
like a lot of people have spoken about many things. Like we at time do a lot of complex jobs, but at the end of the day, I think that 5 things we need to keep in mind. Anything I do, whether it's an infrastructure or applications or systems for that sake, whether you implement ML, AI, or whatever, we need to look at that. It must be quick enough. Like your first is it must be speed. Speed needs to be taken care of. Your accuracy needs to be perfect. Then your speed, accuracy, and the transparency has to be established. Anything end-to-end traceability and everything. And safety needs to be foremost, because when all of us manufacturing sites, so anything I do, whether any permit to work or digitally needs to be signed, people needs to be at site, making sure that everyone live life and they safely reach home back. So any maintenance work happening or any workman who is working, and finally the simplicity. Like I'm a newcomer, I'm joining my organizations. If I'm going for carrying out a maintenance, I may not have anything. Like my entire video training kit has to be available at that site. When I'm in front of the instrument, I need to see the entire story, how I can build it. I may not require, I'm an experienced guy, I may not refer to that. But if I'm a newcomer, I can see this guy can do that job. So this is the way we are keeping, like making sure that end user, like my workman, and as well as the outsourced people who are every day may be changing, like 200 to 2000 at times, a newcomer. So these all 2000 people must not get hurt when they are doing work in a manufacturing site. There, everything is being taken care of, like from safety to when he is working, those kind of stuff has to be simple. Like any IT I do, make sure that it is very, very simple, like whether my CEO to the end, the person at ground must able to use seamlessly. He must not need to require to go into a training. It has to be Hindi, in English, all language, it needs to be covered. And it must not be that I need not require to read. It must be speaking, like whether my Weybridge or anywhere gate you come, anywhere you go into the plant, we make sure that the public announcement system or your simple micro, everywhere it is speaking. The people don't need to read anything for that sake. This is the way we are making simplicity is that, but it is, as people have said, it is a journey. So every time I do, and it needs to, we need to change it. Thanks.
Thanks, Subrata. So you really brought up some good points, that accuracy of data, seamless, safety, speech. They're really good ones to track it out. So let me now come back to my last panelist member, Milind. So Milind, being a group CIO for Supermax, what do you see the world-class IT is for Supermax, keeping in mind where are you preparing your company or technological solutions?
Good afternoon, all. It's a pleasure to be sharing the dais with all of you. To my mind, world class is a function of excellence in executions and excellence in experience. IT is known for disrupting many things, and that disruption most of the time can be unpleasant if it is not done with the class. If it is done with the simple and pragmatic nature, the people can enjoy, and it starts from the home. What kind of work tech experience I'm giving it to my employees makes them more comfortable in facing the customer. So for me, giving the simple, pragmatic and class of the technology to my work tech, to my employees, so that whatever comfort I'm disrupting is enjoyed by them, and ensuring that same experience is extended to my customer. And this can be achieved by getting into the shoes of the consumer of the technology, rather than remaining only the provider of the technology.
Okay, Milind, that's good. So you're looking at how to really make the workday more enjoyable for your employees and for your customers. Now, let me switch the gears right now. Now, to be a world class, we all are, like Debanjan said, Debanjan, let me come back to here. You said we rolled out Microsoft 365 for your company. Now, when you were actually deciding on Microsoft 365, how did you see what value they will deliver to your organization? What are the parameters you really had actually evaluated to find a solution that can bring value to your organization?
Okay, So Rajiv, I think let me add a few facts out there. So we being part of the global conglomerate of Pernod, we operate across 70 affiliates. So Office 365 has been our stack for quite some time. But on a collaboration platform, we were using WebEx kind of solutions. And we had to make the switch to Teams given the kind of capabilities that we brought along with the other Office 365 stack. And that's where we saw value. Being from the same house, as we said, single platform, additional capabilities. And so we saw that and completed the transition of the entire organization of about 18,500 people much before the pandemic even struck us. People trained, people solutions deployed, and people experienced to know how to use it. So when we had the disruption, there was no point, no second thought about how do we start connecting and talking to each other. We were in midst of several transformation projects. While business came to a standstill, IT kept running seamlessly. In fact, IT had accelerated because everyone was available for projects and all the teams were running full-fledged. Even Microsoft had to gear up some of the capacity at the back end to ensure that we are able to run seamlessly. And we are, of course, there at the top 10 customers of Microsoft across the world. And hence, those capacity augmentation, which was foreseen as a part of this overall pack of Office 365, because we have decided long time back, we will build on Microsoft-based platforms. So all our technologies are associated with those which can connect, talk to those platforms. So automatic augmentation of this collaboration platform brought those preparedness for us, for our organization. Since your question was specific of O365, so I'll stay here for the current platform. We are extending the platform O365 to another areas. So Power Automate is another such area where workflow automation, we talk of productivity efficiency. Now, we could have a very complex solutions. There are tons of products in the market, but those which can seamlessly talk to Office 365 stack. Even if we like so much and love bringing so much technologies, our planners and business still loves Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. That's a fact of life. So anything that works seamlessly with it, comes with it, bundled with it, operating through mobile, operating through laptop, and experiencing it across multiple platforms, that becomes an obvious choice for us. And hence, the robustness of security and this experience that it comes along with it makes us an obvious choice of expanding along those fronts. So Automate would be another such case of our expansion.
Thanks, Debanjan. You said about the robustness, the collaborative, the automation. So let me switch. Let me come back to Ajit. Ajit, you said that you are building or you have already a roadmap for next 10 years. In that roadmap, over the last 2 years, what you have seen. Now, what is that key value you're looking at it in a product or a platform or a solution that would bring more value to your company compared to what others are doing it? So we can learn some best practice from you.
Yeah, so for deciding a strategy or the roadmap for the organization, understanding organization is very critical. Okay, understanding organization basically comes from identity. The people are very critical for any organization. I'm not talking from the IT perspective, from the users who will be using the solution. Okay, that is one aspect. Then second is the process basically. So that is we talk about people, process, and the technology. These are the three levers which is very important for any organization to make a roadmap. That is first, and obviously the business alignment with respect to the business strategy of the organization. I can't run an IT organization in isolation where I'm creating a big elephant, but it has no value to the organization. Okay. So as a panelist or as a discussion, we already talked about we cannot run in isolation. So if it is not adding value to the organization, so let's not do it. I'm of that opinion. Means for the sake of doing, I don't want to do anything. Because from the experiences, it comes that many organizations I've seen that they invested heavily on the technology, but at the end of the day, it does not work for the organization. Okay, so working and making it happen for the organization, that is a critical point. We need to, as an IT leader of organization, we need to understand. So what it makes, it may be simple solution or the enterprise solution. It can be anything. But the understanding the business, and I suppose I can share one or two examples basically when you talk about the planning. Okay, planning is a very critical for any manufacturing organization I've seen where you have to balance the capacity of the material as such. Okay. So, but understanding whether there's challenge, I can have the advanced planning solutions. What Debanjan also talked about LFN, and this because I came from the supply chain background and I used to implement the supply chain solutions as such. But when I come to the manufacturing organization on the other side, the simple basically MRP kind of the material requirement planning kind of the solution also helps organization to solve your material problem as such. But when it comes to the optimization or something like that, you need to have advanced policy solution. But really, if I'm just investing a technology, basically having the advanced solution where my users are capable to handling that, that is a very critical decision as an organization or as an IT leader we need to take. So what it makes to happen, because strategy planning, this is at high level, that is fine. When it comes to the execution, so execution will only happen after understanding the real ground challenges. And once as an IT leader, I personally feel, yes, we have to talk to the IT users very frequently, understand the challenges, come with the solutions. The solution should be very simple. It is usable. At least we don't have to make hazy or the hi-fi solution, something like that. The solution should be usable at the end of the day so that it adds to the value of the business. Otherwise, at the end of the day, whatever the solution or whatever the systems we give to the user, if we say it is not used for them, because as rightly said, Excel or PowerPoint or these are the norms in the industry, which is going to be there because that is how the comfort, but how the decision-making solutions or BI solutions or whatever solution you talk about get translated into that and it improves the productivity and the efficiency of the organization, then that is a real value add for IT leader, and that makes the successful IT organization and successful IT leader. And that's how your management buy-in, everything will happen, everything has happened. But as an IT leader, IT vision has to be very clear, and understanding the organization is very critical. That's what I personally feel. And because there are various functions, various expectations, because it's a finally people driven, and every people has their own expectation, own maturity, but bringing everybody on the same platform, where the importance of the IT leaders come, because everybody we need to bring on the single platform, and they should talk about that platform, maybe any enterprise platform, and they have to use the platform, because the adaptability and the usage is equally important for any organization. It talks about Arora and justification of the solution, something like this. So critical decision making, for my perspective, is definitely yes. Understanding the organization, understanding the technology, understanding the business challenges, and then lay down the roadmap for the organization. Yes, this is a critical. And now in the pandemic situation, we have seen that okay, disruption is going to the part of the life. Now this is a pandemic situation, but for any organization after the pandemic or before pandemic, balancing the demand supply is going to be a challenge for any organization. So under such circumstances and understanding all the uncertainties, and then provide a solution and take the binding in the solution and then make them adaptable and usage to make, because my personal experience, any IT solution which you implement for organization is definitely benefit or useful to the organization. But the only crux of the solution, when users start using it, then the benefits will start come. So that gap has to be understood correctly, playing around the solution, evaluating the solution, and then making deployable, and the execution capabilities has to be thoroughly, because when you talk about any dealer distributor or CRM kind of solution, something like that, you have to really reach to the dealer distributor, talk to them, make them solution adaptable to them. And that is how the role of the IT leader is changing. It's not about giving the technology or giving the solution and then you asking user to use it. It will never happen. It has not happened for any organization. I'm sure everybody in the group is in acceptance with me what I'm saying. So going to the last mile, taking the ownership of the solution and make it happen for the organization, then definitely whatever the small or big solution you implement, it will happen for the, and the organization will reach to the next level, and it will definitely reach to the benchmark level. That is how I personally. And that is how my roadmap is generally for any organization.
Thanks, Ajit, for sharing your way of working in these times. And I know this pandemic has really taught us how to work and how to be more agile in driving it out. Just want to ask Pankaj. Pankaj, is there anything different you want to add to what Ajit and Debanjan said, what you're working in your organization?
Okay. From Schaeffler perspective, there are, as all my learned panelists, they told that what are all the different inputs they consider to define their roadmap. We follow the same thing, almost a similar kind of approach. In addition to that, in Schaeffler, what we are doing is we do not create a long-term vision for us. Definitely, long-term vision are created at the group level and at the regional level, group level. What we do is we drill down those long-term vision and goals into 5-year timeline. And then 5 years timeline, we distribute it into short-term and medium-term, where we take it to a 2 years roadmap as well as 5 years roadmap. So that is how we approach in defining our roadmap. In addition to that, what additional we take is we consider our we do the SWOT analysis of our department, our team, our organization. And SWOT analysis is something where we discuss on our strength, our weakness, opportunity, and threat. And those also becomes input for our roadmap. And especially when we talk about the business case in terms of innovative ideas, solution, digitalization. Just to give you a small example of this, like a couple of years back, we all never believed that audit could happen virtually. Physical inventory could happen virtually. So this is something which we are able to help the business do this and help realize the vision. And today what we are doing is there are various kind of wearables, HoloLens, where we are doing a lot of machine maintenance, audit, physical inventory using all newer technology. So those things also we try to bring it into our roadmap, in our medium term and short term roadmap, where we define what is the future trend, how it looks like, where if I have to achieve a business growth of a certain value to our organization, what is that we should be looking for after 2 years, 3 years down the line. And not only the futuristic trend or the mega trend, but we also focus on how to sustain and what are our different strength and different opportunities what we have, how to tap them, how to sustain them. So sustenance is also one of the important aspect which goes into our roadmap. Apart from that, there are various other things also which we consider in terms of nowadays we talk a lot about information and IT security. So those things also goes into some of our thought process, into our risk mitigation plan, which are reviewed at the board meeting on an annual basis, and what all activities we are doing, how it is aligned with our strategic initiatives. So these are few of the additional things what we are doing apart from all other panelists what they have explained.
Thanks, Pankaj, for sharing the more of a slightly in addition to what Milind and Debanjan shared on a structured approach of SWOT analysis, 2 to 3 year plan, and sustainability and all things. So let me come back to Milind. Milind, you heard what Debanjan, Ajit, and Pankaj said. Now, keeping that in mind, what even Pankaj said, we're doing an audit of the physical thing now virtually. So what technologies do you feel can be used to augment all these kind of things, rather than replace our own workforce, which are critical for the organization?
Very interesting questions. Pandemic has given us a different perspective. It's redefined the workforce and workplace. And in this case, the most important is a workforce. The technology which is getting the space into the enterprises are the robotic process automations, which is seen as a competition to the human workforce. So we tried and tested a couple of use cases in our organizations. How we can make use of this technology, which will be enjoyed, and it will coexist along with the existing workforce. It should not be seen as a threat to the existing workforce, and same time it is enjoyed for the larger business benefit. And that is done by all-inclusive kind of nature. When we started adoption of this new technology, what we did is we spent some time with the user. What are their difficulties? Rather than giving the solution by theoretical problems, we went to the bottom of the problem, understanding, is this a real problem or the problem is something else? Having understood what is the real problem and how to solve this, we adopted the technology, we selected the technology. And the whole implementation is driven by the user rather than the group of technology owners who do not have a complete ownership or accountability of this such technologies. And it is quite successful because user enjoyed doing what they think it is a solution to their basic problem. And that's what we did, something differently than the normal automation implementation.
Thanks, Milind. I know that's a very good approach. Just want to ask, let me go to my other colleague, Subrata, and check with them. Then I can share what I did in my Siemens also. Subrata, over to you. You want to add something to what Milind said, how you did it in your organization?
Yeah, like something which people had said, O365 or be it Zoom or other things, WebEx, all these coexisting, and even TP is currently connected. But the thing which we started is that not only the big people, that is the big four you talk about in security stuff, or Siemens is for that sake, or your ABB of the world and all. Other than that, also we have started giving opportunity to the startup. We have a project Pratham, and where we're giving a lot of startup ecosystem, where we engaged with 30, 40 or startup, and we are taking them in. And I can only tell you, those small timer does big value add to the organizations, and really at the lowest cost and the biggest turnout. And they take risk even. They invest from their side because they are not been proven. So at time for you, like Apex, OPEX, or anything you talk about upfront, may not require that much. So to be world class and to promote a small timer, also give little importance to those startup people, so that the ecosystems exist and people get a lot of employment and all we generate as well. So that will be my way of thinking, that let us all encourage that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Subrata. Just let me share my experience also, since I'm also in the similar industry working for a large multinational like Siemens. So we also focus on 3 areas, what Milind said: work, workplace, and workforce. And we actually have gone to multiple startups. I can share with you, like our board meetings are happening with HoloLens, with people coming from the board members are from the different part of the world with avatars. So that's something we have to drive it out. Second, we have actually started using a cloud with AI for a remote inspection. Cloud with AR, VR for remote monitoring and remote servicing. And that has really picked up the traction, especially in the manufacturing OT side, because that's more important for all of us. Third, we have actually brought AI-based powering products. It's coming from a startup, what Subrata said, because those startups for whom we are working with, either in New York or in Germany or in Palo Alto or in Bangalore, are bringing those kind of niche solutions to solve the problems. And really helping us. Again, the problem what we solve with logistics, with smart trucks in country like India, Brazil, where we have a real challenge. A small startup sitting in Bangalore called Smart Truck was very unique to find a solution, how they don't network out. So that's how we have been really looking at how to drive that and take to the next level. Now, coming back to all of us, now since in the interest of time, we are left with only 9 more minutes. So I'll go one by one and round to all of you and ask you how this digital transformation, which has got accelerated in this pandemic time, has created value for your company, for your worker productivity, and a better workplace for all of us to work for. So let me go back within the reverse way. I'll go with Subrata, you first, and then go in the reverse order of everyone, all the way to Pankaj. Yeah, Subrata.
So I'm happy to share with you, like during this, before pandemic, our cost of production, COP, used to be, we are at the end, like we may not be able to survive. And happy to share today, we are at the quartile 1, Q1. So everyone may die, even if aluminum price wherever stands. Our COP is now, like we are generating double of the cash. That means it is 100% profitability you can think. So this pandemic has forced us such a steps we take too, be it buying, be it your manufacturing process and everywhere. So we're able to reduce our cost to half. So that gives us a pleasure that we are going to Q1 and we want to sustain that level other than Madin. We are the next runner for that say. Other Chinese and all other manufacturing aluminum manufacturers is much higher. So that's like we can say that it was a really gift for us, and we want to enjoy and we make sure that this kind of innovations continue and we deliver to the world.
Thank you, Subrata. Let me come back to Milind. So Milind, where do you see that this transformation of decision has brought value to your organization?
I see the two-pronged effect here. One is user are empowered. I saw that they are solving their basic problem. They don't require the IT next to them for every small issues. So the pandemic has made them more empowered, more self-sufficient in handling the basics. The most important effect I saw of the pandemic is the data-driven discussions. The conversation is more keeping the data at the center of the gravity, and hence it is more meaningful and more accurate discussion. So these are the two effects I'm experiencing now.
Thanks, Milind. You really brought a very good point that the self-service has started. And second is the data-driven thing. Okay, let's come back to Pankaj. Pankaj, your thoughts.
Thank you, Rajiv. Few of my thoughts or the value addition, what we are able to bring to our business. There are various areas where we have seen, where we have experienced the value in business, whether it is a process excellence or operation, our digital agenda, industry, all the peoples together under the cloud and providing them the be it my supplier, our organization, and our customer. So there are various areas where we have seen value addition when we talk about the digitalization and transformation. And one thing which I would summarize with all the areas, I would not take much time here because of the interest of the time. We in IT, we have proved one saying correct, which is geography is history. So we, no matter in which part of the world we are located, we all are connected and we all are working towards the benefit of the organization and achieving the goals of the organization. So this is the value addition what IT has brought to the business today.
Thanks, Pankaj. You really got a good point. Geography is a history, and I'm a right now, I would say I'm a history right now, sitting out of India, managing the global level at a Siemens. Manufacturing is not easy. Yeah. Okay, let's come back to Debanjan. Your thought process on the value, what you created for the company.
Yeah, maybe I go back to some of my initial comments by stating that we did not start any of our transformation as a result of a pandemic. It was started much before the pandemic. Pandemic only accelerated our journey because of the availability of people, because of availability of everyone coming together and understanding that it's critical for business to go digital. Now that we know that we were all struck by all the limitations of physical working. On a light, I mean, as I said, success of a world-class IT or IT is the measurement of a business success. And for us, the business resiliency was demonstrated during this pandemic. The dip that a business undertook during this whole pandemic, which every business took because of the various market limitations, factories getting shut, etc. And the ability to come out of it at a much faster pace was very easily reflected in our range availability that was there with our distributors, with our corporation depots, etc. And that resiliency was clearly demonstrated, powered by the digital transformation, the back end around of the connected planning platforms, etc. The other part, while there were many other space stuff I can keep going on, was around the whole idea, as you all said, geography is history, hybrid workplace. Today, we are no longer talking of offices at all. We are talking of no longer the need of everyone coming to office also. The future of the organizations are going to be where you can work from any part of the country. You don't have to hire a talent from within the city. You don't need to be in office every day. And that's a big game changer. The organization was pretty, I think we have all had in mind that we needed to be there in office to be a more effective face-to-face collaboration required from a team. Otherwise, team engagement will be down. 1.5 years has shown that those all are something that they were sitting in our minds. Well, of course, it sometimes requires us to have more convivial evenings, convivial afternoons and stuff like that with our teams. But that's not a limitation to drive success. And hybrid workplace is another big area of success that's coming out. The third part being in our factories, where physical access, physical restrictions were more important. There, as we know, as I think my colleagues also brought together, the panelists brought a fact that change is very difficult in different kinds of environment. And factory is such a culture where you have people with a lot of history, a lot of experience, right from the workers, the blue collars people, ready to drive influence with the new technologies. When we deployed our IoT solutions, the whole idea of having the people on the ground, which were also restricted and were all constrained because you had labors which were all limited based on the state you're operating. Red, yellow, green zones, sometimes 50% allowed, sometimes 25% allowed. So labor was on and off. But you needed to access data, put in data, and etc. in order to get the data, understand the insights from those IoT lines, right? The connected lines. That made us think about skill sets at those operating levels. So for us, this is another area where it opened up the discussions around the capability and skill sets across the organization, which also anyway was part of the program because upskilling is part of any digital transformation. Now it is just got a broader attention. On a lighter note, I will say the board members have now started operating through calendars, which was earlier a difficult case. I think you had secretaries operating their calendars, but now everyone keeps the calendars updated and you can get access to anyone. Huh?
Thanks, Debanjan. And I know, Ajit, in the interests of time, since we're left with only
Yeah,
1
yeah.
minute.
So yeah, I will just keep it brief. So definitely digital is not new to any organization for that matter, because I think the from last 10 years or 15 years, 10 years at least, I can see everybody is on the digital transformation journey and the various time frame and whatever is the feasibility for them. But definitely the digital has brought to our organization the three important benefits from the automation perspective. Yes, automation of the processes, collaboration within the supplier, customers, and within the employees. And third is important aspect is optimization. So wherever the organization, because all the legacy organization has a particular way of doing the things, but with the optimization, we have the technologies also, and we have to chance or opportunity to really go into the process and save on the cost perspective. So automation, collaboration, and the optimization has definitely brought organization. And then digital is definitely not new for any organization, and then the journey is long. So yes, these are the key important benefits that organization has got out of the digital technology or world class or whatever you name it, basically. But at the bottom level, organization has got benefited out of this.
Thanks, Ajit. So once again, let me thank each of my panel members for sharing their views. And I can really leave a quote at the end for all of us that we as IT as a function are also contributing towards the low carbon emissions. It's called carbon protections, by making our industries more efficient and making our transportation more sustainable. And IT was never a major player, but now IT and decision together are the one in making things achievable with this. With this, I will open this panel to questions. If there are any questions from the audience, you want to ask any one of us, please raise your question to us. Any questions we have?
Rajiv, I believe right now we don't have any questions as yet.
Okay. Thank you, Kavya. So basically with that, I would say thank you to each one of you for your time and sharing the best practice, what you have been doing in your respective companies. And it's a great learning for me also to learn from each one of you how you guys are driving a world-class organization and taking your respective function or respective organization to the next level. With that, I will say thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks.
Thank you.